David, don't forget you have to do take home Torah for Beth Shalom this week.
Hello, and welcome to Take Home Torah with Congregation Beth Shalom. During the 4 years that we lived in Los Angeles, I became a regular at Valley Beth Shalom's Shabbat morning Torah study. And in preparation for this Devar, I went back into the Valley Beth Shalom archive to look for a previous teaching that Rabbi Feinstein had done on parashah Devarim. I was pleasantly surprised to find a recording from July 21st, 2018. As I hit play on the video, I said, wow, I was probably there. I wonder if I'm going to see myself sitting in the back corner behind the rabbi. And I recognized a number of regulars that came walking into the chapel. And Rabbi Feinstein came in and he started to speak and he said, we're in the midst of a heat wave. The temperature today is going to reach 107 degrees. And you need to check on your neighbors. And you need to check on your loved ones. And you need to make sure they're okay. And he went on and he started to talk about Tisha B'Av. And I said to myself, Tisha B'Av 2018, a heat wave in Los Angeles. Where was I? Where were we? And then it all came flooding back. This week, we begin to read Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. In Greek, it means literally the repetition. Devarim is Moses' last address to the people of Israel as they plan to enter and prepare to enter the land of Israel. Moses knows that he's not going to be able to go because of the transgressions that he and the people have committed or been a part of during the 40 years that they've been journeying in the desert. And Devarim is Moses' last oratory. It's his explanation of the entire Torah. There's something interesting that occurs when we look back on past events and begin to retell them in our own narrative. The days surrounding and following Tisha B'Av 2018 are actually quite a joyous time for our family. To be honest, I had completely forgotten about the 107-degree heat wave, the junky air conditioner that existed in our Los Angeles apartment that struggled to keep us cool, or the countless hours that Amanda and I had spent walking around mall after mall after mall in the San Fernando Valley as we sought to escape the insufferable heat and manage our own excitement and anxieties in preparing to become first-time parents. We had skipped Shabbat services that morning as we were preparing and planning for a speedy departure to UCLA Hospital. And the next morning, Riva joined us just a few hours after the end of Tisha B'Av, ensuring that she will always be able to eat meat on her birthday and missing being born on one of the most solemn days of the Jewish year. She'll probably end up a vegetarian down the road. Who knows? Anyways, as we read Devarim, it is important to remember that Moses is speaking to a second generation, the children whose parents left Egypt and due to their transgression, their lack of faith, were unable to enter the land. As Moses recounts their journey, subtle and in some cases jarring differences between Moses' account and what we've read previously in the Torah begin to occur. Right off the bat in chapter 1, Moses recalls how in the desert the people became numerous. He says, "How can I bear the trouble of you, the burden, the bickering? Pick from your tribes men who are wise, discerning, experienced, and I will appoint them as your magistrates, your judges. He goes on to describe the judicial system that he sets up amongst the tribes. What's missing here? Yitro, my bar mitzvah portion. Yitro, the Midian priest, Moses' father-in-law, who in Exodus chapter 18, upon observing Moses as the lone judge of the people, says, "What is this thing that you're doing? Why do you act alone while all the people stand about you from morning until evening? Moses, you nudnik, it's not working. You're gonna burn yourself out." He goes on to say, "You shall seek out from among all the people capable men who fear God, who spurn ill-gotten gain to serve as chiefs of the tribes, and let them judge the people at all times. Have them bring every major dispute to you, but let them decide every minor dispute themselves." When we read this in Exodus, we extol Moses for his ability to hear the words of his father-in-law, a Midianite, who helped set up a judicial system replicated to this day. When we read Moses' retelling in Deuteronomy, Devarim, Yitro and his contribution to our people have disappeared. As we continue to read through this parashah, and in the weeks to come, the book of Devarim, more instances like this will arise. I'm going to leave this for a future take-home Torah participant to explore, but I'll just say the Ten Commandments, two different versions. Our commentators will seek to explain these different narratives. Moses is being cynical. Moses is aging. It's not actually Moses, it's God speaking through Moses. Personally, the narrative that I'm starting to grapple with is that this is Moses building and codifying Jewish peoplehood. And I'll admit it's something that I'm committed to exploring further, but not yet really prepared to speak about. I say all of this because I started by recounting my experience revisiting Tisha B'Av and the birth of our daughter, because I was surprised about the details of that whirlwind of an experience that I had simply forgotten. This resonates with me very deeply as I think about the narrative that we will build about the unique time we are living in today. A decade from now, what's the story I tell Riva as she prepares for her bat mitzvah? Yes, it's a narrative of polarization, unemployment, plague, virus, violence, and division unlike anything that I have ever witnessed in my lifetime. It's also countless hours spent hiking in the Presidio, a newfound obsession with the Golden Gate Bridge, more time than ever before connecting with loved ones through technology, on Zoom and FaceTime. And as we enter into Shabbat this week, I'd like to invite all of you to take a moment to think about your personal narrative during this time of COVID-19. What is it currently? What might it be in the future? I recognize it will feature loneliness, missed simchas, lack of time with family, illness, and loss. I hope that it also contains within it hope for our future, new explorations, learning, and an ongoing building of relationships both here and in the virtual world and beyond. Shabbat Shalom.